This is my one-bedroom apartment in downtown Toronto, and most of the time it looks like this.
Same without you.
Sometimes I get a little busy, then I get lazy, and then I just get overwhelmed and overstimulated, and it feels like a mess. And while I can be better at being cleaner, what I realize is that I just need a little bit more space. And so when I asked my realtor, Amy, to help me out to see what is out there, she said yes, and this is that video. Let's get into it.
Da, 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 da,
So before I go ahead and show you all the places that we looked at, I think it's really important to establish a baseline for what is my needs versus what is good to have. And for me, the first thing and the most important thing that I need is access to direct sunlight. What that means is that the unit has to either be south facing or west facing. My current apartment right now is north facing, and I absolutely get zero sunlight. And now that I'm doing all this YouTube stuff and taking videos and taking photos, I actually understand how important it is to get good sunlight. And I'm literally shooting with a studio light right now, and I wish I had some natural light. The next two things that are absolute needs for me is an in-house washer, dryer, and a dishwasher. I've been living in an apartment for the last 3 years that has these things, and the thought of me living without them is a thought that I'm not even considering right now. I also need a complete one bedroom, so we're saying no to studios, we're not saying no to anything that is a barn style door like I have right now, because I need a little bit more space. I want to make sure that my area of work and play is different from the room that I sleep in, and that's important because I work from home majority of the time anyways. The second last thing that is an absolute need for me is ample storage. I have a lot of things, and I have a lot of gear, I have a lot of trinkets that I've kind of accumulated over the years, and I need to be able to store all of them until I know what I want to do with them. And the final thing is a good layout, which this apartment severely suffers from. I know it looks like a pretty nice spot, but I don't have a spot to keep a TV. Like, there's no blank wall. A lot of it is just windows, and honestly, like, I'm tired. I think I am old enough where I need a good bit of space that I can decorate the way I want. And so with that being said, let's talk about my wants. If my needs are met, I'm not too much of a picky guy. So I don't want something that's super, super high up because, to be very honest with you, I'm a little scared of heights. Ideally, my building also has a bunch of good amenities, which I don't have right now. So a full-fledged gym so that I don't have to pay for a gym membership on top of the absurd rents that we're paying in this city right now, as well as things like a study space, a potential party room that is not super crazy expensive to book, and ideally a swimming pool, even though I don't know how to swim, but don't tell anyone this. Okay, with that being said, let's take a look at all the apartments that we visited, and you can tell me which ones you like the best. Let's go. So the first apartment we visited was 28 Whitmer Street, unit 4021. And from the get-go, I can tell you that I absolutely did not like this place. And there are a lot of reasons why. Even though it has all the amenities such as a washer dryer, it has a full-size fridge, a dishwasher, I just don't like this space. I think this layout is absolutely horrible, and I think that this is a bit of a scam. When they say it's a one bedroom, it's actually not. You have a little hole for a room that has absolutely no windows, nothing to look out at, and then you have this external space that is almost impossible to properly decorate and honestly redo. The other thing that I absolutely hated about this place is the view, or the lack thereof. You can look directly into your neighbors and you can see what they're doing, and you don't even have to stare. Like, it's just that bad. I will say, even though it was on the 40th floor, it didn't feel like it. You look down and you feel like you're on the 3rd floor or the 4th floor. Like, it's high, but everything around that specific location is a literal concrete jungle, and so did not like that place. So that's unit 1. The next unit we saw was 295 Adelaide Street West, unit 1503. And I think that this was one of the bigger and the more expensive units that we saw, but I really liked how light and airy this place was. There was a lot of sun that was coming in, and as well as that, it actually was a proper space. It had a separate bedroom that was decently sized, as well as a proper living room where you could put up a little dining table as well as a TV. This was also in an older building that was not super old, but it also meant that it had rent control. And if you know your boy, you know how much I love rent control, because it is so goated and rare to find apartments that have rent control. The one thing that I didn't like about this apartment though is that even though it was newly renovated, for whatever reason, the floors were different. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. So the floors in the living room was the old floor, and the bedroom had a completely redone new floors installed, and they didn't even try matching it. Like, one floor was literally brown and the other was gray. Like, seriously, if you're gonna try and renovate a place, at least make sure the floors match as close as they can and not put them in different tones, in different colors. And this was, like one of those, I like it, but it's not gonna be my first choice ever. Also, those ugly curtains were something else. Like, they were actually horrible. Before we continue with the rest of the video, I wanted to quickly jump in and thank my friend Aimee Shea, who happens to be a realtor, for making this video possible. She is an absolute legend, extremely knowledgeable, friendly, and somehow replies around the clock, which is so absurd to me. She booked all the units that we viewed today and took time out of her busy schedule to personally come around touring all these units. So if you're looking to buy or rent in Toronto, please reach out to her. She's great. By the way, if you're a tenant looking for a new place, you don't have to pay the realtor. It's completely free, so that's even better. But yeah, tell Aimee that you found her from this video. I'll leave all her information in the description box below. And let's move on with the video. So the next apartment we saw was 55 Mercer, unit 4607. And the great thing about this unit is that it had one of the nicer layouts for sure. But what is even crazier is that this place had an insane gym. It had a 2-story gym that had some of the craziest things I've ever seen in a condo gym in my life. It had a regulation size half court in the freaking building in the middle of downtown Toronto. Can you imagine that? That's crazy. It had individual Peloton booths in the gym itself. So the top floor of the gym was just weights and for strength training, while the lower floor was just for cardio and any other like running related activities, as well as a mini rock climbing installation thing. I don't know how to explain it per se, but it was actually really cool to see a newer building have such crazy amenities. The bad thing about this place is the lack of rent control, which kind of sucks, but it's expected because it's a newer building. And to be fair, a lot of these units that we saw were post 2018, so most of them weren't actually rent controlled to begin with. The unit itself though was nothing crazy. I did say that it had a good layout. It had, a full-size fridge, it had a full-size dishwasher and oven, washer, dryer. But the issue with this apartment was the lack of view. Can you imagine being on the 46th floor and you look out and you get absolutely no view other than what's inside of your neighbor's apartment? I also really like this unit because it was really light and airy. The floors were a lighter color and the walls were also a really nice shade of white, which gives you an open canvas to do a lot. But again, no windows and honestly not a lot of light, which kind of sucked. So right across the street from 55 Mercer, we have 327 King, unit 3704. So on the 37th floor, but because this unit is on King Street, and King Street is a pretty major street, I would say, in downtown Toronto, especially in the entertainment district, it had pretty decent views. So although this building was kind of obstructed because of the building across the street, you could still see part of the skyline from the corner of your bedroom. So in my head, I thought it'd be really nice to kind of wake up in the morning from your 37th floor unit and still be able to see some sort of sunlight or still be able to see some sort of sunset when you're back from work. The unit itself wasn't too bad. It had light wood floors, it had light finishings. The bathroom was really nice. I think it's one of the nicer bathrooms we saw with the him and her showers and whatnot. And I personally prefer a standing shower over a bath because I'm not a bath guy. And this bathroom had a huge shower, which was sick. I love the bathroom, but the unit itself was kind of tiny. Like, it had a weird square shape, and so I don't know how much it would fit my needs, especially to like store stuff and be able to kind of organize it the way I wanted to. I thought it was one of the smaller units for sure, but I'm pretty sure this building had a pool. So plus points for that, but I'm getting excited now. These initial units were my favorite to be honest with you, but we're building it up and let's move on to the next one.
I've waited for a lifetime for you.
So this unit we saw was at 352 Front Street West, unit 905. And this was one of the lower floored units, even though it was on a bigger building. So what I mean by that is that sometimes, even if you're on a lower floor, if you are in a building that is not too high, it doesn't feel that you're on the lower floors. It doesn't feel as dark and gloomy. But with this specific building, it was pretty tall. And so the unit kind of felt like it was boxed in a little bit, to be honest. However, I like this unit because it was one of the only units we saw at this price range of around $2,500 that had a den. And so when we went in to visit, we saw that each of the rooms had this weird track. So it felt like multiple people were living in this one bedroom in a den unit with literal curtains, which was kind of funny and honestly so crazy. But this wasn't bad, to be honest. Like, this room had a lot of space and a lot of potential because of that. Even though light was an issue, it was a little dark and dreary, especially around noon, which is a little concerning because it was actually a really bright sunny day. And this unit absolutely had zero sunlight. However, I don't know. I feel like if I had enough space, I might be actually willing to compromise on the little bit of sunlight because it was huge. Like, I could have a separate office, living room, have a separate dining table area, as well as my own complete bedroom. Also ample storage. And after this unit is when my two favorite units that I saw, which I really liked. So let me take you to them. So the second last apartment we saw was unit 604 at 32 Stewart Street. And I think that this is one of my top contenders for my favorite apartment. So the first thing is that it is a condo style apartment. So I don't know if you know, but some of the buildings on the west side of Entertainment District are all low-rise buildings. So they go up as high as 12 stories and that's about it. But they're either all converted lofts or made to look like lofts. And if you know me, your boy is a sucker for lofts. Like, I genuinely love lofts or buildings that are made to look like lofts. But you get the point. And this was one of them. And on top of that, this building had insane sunlight. Like, absolutely direct sunlight to the point where it made the unit kind of hot, which was a little bit concerning. But dude, the sunlight was beautiful. Like, I think I would have sunlight in this unit during winter, which is wild. I also absolutely loved the fact that the walls were super high. Like, I'm talking like 11 feet high, I'm pretty sure. The pipes were all exposed, and it's just, I don't know. I just love lofts a lot, and I think they're my weakness, and so I'm pretty biased. I will say, however, that this unit was a little bit older. So although you would have rent control, it did kind of look its age, especially with the microwave and the stove and the fridge. They looked like they were at the very end of their useful life, and the layout kind of sucked, which is pretty sad. It just didn't have a lot of space. Again, like, the bedroom was a little hole that didn't have a window. But guys, I don't know, like, I was really torn about this. I was like, I would move here. Like, I went in, I could see myself living here. Oh, and one last thing I forgot to say, gas stoves. I also happen to love gas stoves. This place had it. So it would have been a very much a, oh, do you care about sunlight and having a gas stove enough that you would sacrifice the layout? I don't know, but I'm happy I wasn't put in that position because the next place was even better.
But I don't wanna spend another night by myself, 'cause I know that I would be.
So the final place that we saw was 66 Portland Unit 507. So this was literally across the street from the Stewart Street place. And this was also a loft or a loft style building. And I think this was at a much better condition. even though the kitchen was literally in the hallway, I think that they made good use of the space. It was a lot more modern. They had a nice couch there for whatever reason. I know I'm not gonna move in with the couch, but still, the couch was there. The bedroom was also way nicer because it had a lot of space. I'm pretty sure the last tenant or whoever stayed here put a freaking TV that they left, and I think the unit comes with a TV, which is really funny. And although the layout of this unit wasn't perfect, I think that it had something about it that made me feel happy. It was a light, airy unit with a lot of space, and because the ceilings were so high, in fact higher than the previous unit, the storage cabinets went all the way up to the ceiling, which was pretty funny because who is reaching there? Like, I'm 6'3" and I couldn't reach half the storage spaces, but still, the fact that it was there could mean that you could put things that you never usually use and forget about them, because that's what who you are. You are a raging hoarder of physical things. I'm just projecting. Sorry, I don't know why this is becoming a rant. Anyways, yeah, not a lot of bad things to say about this place. It had a nice bathroom. It had really nice finishing. There was built-in lighting. The appliances were great as well. And honestly, genuinely, if you asked me, I think I would have taken that place. That's my favorite. So that was the last unit that we saw, and I was really tired at that point, and that was it. That was the apartment hunting for the day. So yeah, that's all the one-bedroom apartments that we saw in downtown Toronto. Let me know what you think. Let me know which one your favorite was and whether or not you would move into any of these. I know the prices are absolutely absurd, which is so insane. For now though, I think I'll still stay in my place because my rent is honestly really good and it works. I think I just have to be a little bit more disciplined. Until then, I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.